Welcome back to the Bluegrass, and it's a beautiful July day. George and I are loading up the side-by-side and the four-wheeler. We're taking the dogs on a big adventure. But before we go on an adventure, I'm going to tell you guys a little story. Pretty interesting little story, actually. A little while earlier, George asked me, he said, "Hey Dad, that's a cool shirt, where'd you get it?" And for those of you who are familiar, y'all know this is a Westside Barbell t-shirt. And so I told George, I got this from Louie Simmons. He says, "Who's Louie Simmons?" I said, "A world famous powerlifter, maybe the most famous powerlifter." He said, "Well Dad, how do you know a world famous powerlifter?" And I said, "Well, it's a funny story." So one day, I get a box in the mail, and I open it up, and there's some cool shirts in there. And a little note says, "Hey Stonnie, I really like your channel. It's really cool. Keep up the good work." And so I looked at the shirts and I was like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? Louie Simmons watches my channel?" And I freaked out, and I told my buddy who's a powerlifting coach, and I told my buddy who's a chiropractor, and everybody was like, really cool. And the part of the story that's so unique though is that Louie Simmons actually changed my life, and he's never even met me. I'm about 50 years old, and 25 years ago, we've been, jiu-jitsu was all the rage. We've been wrestling for a long time. And so, martial arts was just kind of at its peak in terms of coming into the country and people trying new styles. Well, a buddy of mine got some VHS tapes by this guy named Scott Sonnen, and he had went to Russia or something and came up with some Sambo videos. So we were over at the gym, and Jason was like, "Hey, let's practice these Sambo moves." And he's about 230, and I'm pretty small. At the time, I was kind of strong for a little guy, but still, but I was like, "All right, well, let's practice." And we got to playing around, and he hit me with a little Sambo throw, and I missed the mat and landed on the concrete. And guys, it really hurt my back. It was real touch and go whether I was still going to be able to do physical labor in my life, and for a long time, I couldn't walk the dogs. I just couldn't do the things that I should have done, and I didn't know what I was going to do. Well, a buddy of mine at the time owned a gym, and he said, "Get in here, let's do some rehab." And one of the primary components, the most important component from my perspective, was what was called a reverse hyperextension machine. And Louie Simmons, he invented that. He patented that, I think maybe in the 70s or something. And for about a year, I went through a rehab program all built around a reverse hyperextension machine. And next thing you know, I'm back to work, and I never got as strong as I once was, but I'm as strong once as I ever was, as the old saying goes, right? And for all the adventures that you guys see on my channel, all the slopping up and down the hills and all the tromping through the ponds, none of that would have been possible without Louie Simmons. And I never got a chance to thank Louie Simmons, not that he would have known who I was, but now that I have a little bigger platform, and especially since he sent me this awesome shirt, Louie, thank you so much for changing my life, and I know I'm not the only one. So for all you guys out there suffering lower back pain, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get off here right now, look up Westside Barbell, and look up reverse hyperextension machine, and then get on it. And next thing you know, you'll be making YouTube videos thanking Louie Simmons for changing your life. All right, guys, I'll see y'all later.